Hello, today I'm back with a new video. This time I'll be talking about bands whose first albums are their best, at least in my opinion. But this will be in no particular order. Some of these bands lean more towards rock, while some of the others lean more towards metal. But first album I do want to talk about is from one of the bigger names in the world of metalcore, especially 2000s metalcore. And we'll be talking about Bullfront Valentine with their debut album, The Poison. To me, Bullfront Valentine had a really strong 3-album run with this album, Screaming Fire, and Fever. All 3 albums are definitely really great, but of the 3, this one is definitely my favorite. And I think they would go on to release other pretty solid albums after those 3 albums. I mean, I'll admit I do like all their albums, even the more divisive ones like Temper and Gravity. I do like those albums. And the Venom, I think, is also pretty good. I was really into that album a lot when it first came out, and I still think it's pretty good to this day. And then, of course, you also have the self-titled, which is their most recent one. I do like that album, too. I wouldn't rank it as one of their best, but still a fairly solid album. You definitely get your share of bangers on that album especially, but I still think at the end of the day, this is definitely the band's best, especially from front to back. Many metalcore classics like, of course, Tears Don't Fall, which is definitely the big one here. All of These Things I Hate, Suffocating Under Words of Sorrow, but you also get some really good deep cuts in this album, such as in songs like Hit the Floor, which I think has some of Matt's best vocals on the album. I also really like 10 Years Today, especially the guitar work in that song. Cries in Vain is also really good. That's probably one of my favorite deep cuts from Bullfront Valentine. But yeah, all around, really great stuff. Definitely one of the best mid-2000s metalcore albums for sure. But let's move on to the next album here. We'll be diving into the 90s with Bush, with their album 16 Stone. So yeah, I got my copy signed by Gavin Rosdale when I did VIP for them last year. And yeah, definitely their best in my opinion. I mean, yeah, you also have some other solid albums from them too, like The Science of Things and Razor Blade Suitcase. Even their later work, you still get some pretty solid stuff there, like Art of Survival and The Kingdom. The Kingdom probably being my favorite of their more modern work, but still, I think this still is definitely at the top of their discography for me. I mean, you definitely get some of the band's best work on here, like Little Things, which is maybe a contender for maybe being my favorite Bush song. I absolutely love Little Things. Come Down's another classic for them. Everything Zen, definitely one of the band's best album openers. You move towards the deep cuts. Bomb and Body are some of my favorite deep cuts on the album. Machine Head, I think, is also one of the band's best singles. You also have Glycerine on here, which is another bigger song for them too, but all around, another really great album from the 90s, especially in the world of grunge / post-grunge. But moving to the next album, we'll be diving to the band Garbage with their debut album, Garbage, or self-titled. And Garbage, to me, might not have the best discography, if I'm being honest. I mean, not the worst either. I mean, I personally can't really get all that much into their more modern stuff or the more recent stuff. Maybe I'll revisit those albums and maybe they'll grow on me. I don't know, but personally, I'm not super big on modern Garbage. It's not terrible by any means, but not really my thing. But I do like their early stuff, and out of all their albums, this one's definitely my favorite. And really, the only other album they have that I think somewhat might come close to this album really is their second album, Version 2.0. That's another really good album for them. But yeah, definitely love their debut album. Really good stuff. I mean, you have some of the band's best work on here, like Queer and Only Happy When It Rains. Milk, which is maybe my favorite of their album closers. I mean, You Look So Fine is definitely up there too, but I might go with Milk. I don't know, tough call. But you have other really great songs in here like Vow and Stupid Girl. You also have Super Vixen, which is one of my personal favorite Garbage songs. But yeah, all around, another really good album from the 90s. And yeah, if you haven't heard it, definitely check it out. But moving to the next album, we'll be diving into Life of Agony with their album River Runs Red. Easily their best, and I'm sure I wouldn't be alone in that opinion. But yeah, this is a band that definitely pretty much changes their sound on every album. I mean, yeah, I mean, with their next album, Ugly, they went a bit darker, and then you have Soul Searching Sun, which is more alternative rock, and this album kind of goes for the more New York hardcore type of deal, and I personally really love this album. I mean, when it comes to concept albums in the world of rock and metal, I think this one is definitely one of the best. I think it's definitely up there with other albums or other concept albums like Seventh Son of a Seventh Son or Operation Mindcrime. But yeah, I really do think this album is that strong. Really good stuff. I mean, yeah, I do have some of their biggest songs on here, like This Time and Through and Through. Through and Through is definitely a banger and probably a top 5 Life of Agony song for me. And I mean, Keith's vocals, now Mina, definitely really killer vocals. Definitely a unique vocalist too. Definitely has a unique voice. I mean, I can definitely see comparisons to the guy in Volbeat, but of course, Life of Agony came first. But yeah, that low, deep voice that you get in those first 2 or 3 albums or so, definitely really good stuff, and definitely complements the music well. But yeah, some of my favorites on here This Time, Through and Through. Love Bad Seed, definitely one of my favorite Life of Agony songs. Respect. The Stain Remains is probably another one of my favorite Life of Agony songs. But yeah, all around, definitely a really great album. And if you like concept albums, especially in the world of rock and metal, definitely check out this album if you haven't heard it. Really good stuff, and definitely one of the best albums of 1993. So let's move on to the next album with Burn My Eyes by Machine Head. Now, when it comes to fans choosing their favorite Machine Head album, it's either going to be this one or The Blackening. Those are the albums that I see the most. So I can definitely understand people making an argument for The Blackening. Maybe it might be the timing or nostalgia or anything like that. Who knows? But I love The Blackening is great. Definitely love that album. Probably my second favorite Machine Head album, of course. I mean, that album's definitely really great. You also have other great Machine Head albums like The More Things Change, which is their second album. And I even like The Burning Red from the nu metal era. But out of all their albums, to me, I think Burn My Eyes is easily the best one, especially from front to back. Definitely really good stuff. Definitely their best. You also have some of the most well-known songs in here, like Davidian and Old. Davidian having probably maybe one of the best breakdowns maybe in the world of metal, especially 90s metal. But you also have some really good deep cuts in here, such as A Thousand Lies, A Nation on Fire. I absolutely love A Nation on Fire. Definitely one of my favorite Machine Head songs. And then you also have Block, which that song goes hard, and that's definitely one of my personal favorites on the album. And you know, it might be a contender for maybe even being my favorite album closer from the band. Love that song, but yeah, definitely one of the best metal albums in the world of 90s metal, I'd say. It's definitely up there with other albums like Cleansing by Prong or Demanufactured by Fear Factory, Vulgar Display of Power by Pantera, and many others. But yeah, love this album. But let's go ahead and move on to the next album for this video. Wisconsin Death Trip by Static X. So yeah, with Static X, you get this mix of nu metal and industrial metal, and yeah, with this album, pretty intriguing listen. Of course, you do have some of the band's biggest songs on here, like the first 3 songs, Push It, I'm With Stupid, and Blood for Days, but you move towards the second half and you get some really good deep cuts. I love Stem and Sweat of the Bud. Sweat of the Bud maybe being one of my favorite Static X songs. I also really love the Trance of the Motion. I think that's one of the more slept on songs on the album. I really like that song a lot and its atmosphere. Title track's also a banger. Same with I Am. I mean, Love Dump is also pretty good, but definitely my favorite Static X album. And I did get it signed by Koichi, Ken, and Tony when I did VIP. And yeah, absolutely love this album. Definitely one of the best debut albums in the world of nu metal, I'd say. And they would go on to put out other really good albums too. I love Machine. That's probably my second favorite from them. I also love Start a War, probably my third favorite. Definitely love Start a War, definitely one of the more underrated new metal albums out there. But it did come out back in 2005, and back in 2005, new metal was pretty much already out, and that was when metalcore was definitely starting to get pretty big with people. I mean, around that time, you had bands like Killswitch Engage and Trivium really doing well for themselves, and I mean, but yeah, Start a War, definitely really good stuff. Cannibal's also really good, but yeah, at the end of the day, Wisconsin Death Trip is definitely their best in my opinion, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that opinion. But now for the final album for this video, we'll be going to Third Eye Blind with their self-titled. And you know what, I'm gonna be honest, over time this is maybe going to be maybe one of my favorite albums of all time. I mean, the more I think about it, there really isn't a single skip on this album. And it's definitely one of the best albums of 1997. And 1997 had a lot of really good albums. I mean, Around the Fur by Deftones, Transistor by 311. I mean, you can go on and on about that. Again, 1997, definitely a pretty good year for music. Had a lot of really good albums in that year. But yeah, this is definitely one of them. And yeah, absolutely love this album. And this is the album where, of course, you had the band's best lineup, in my opinion, with Steven, Brad, Kevin, and Orion. But yeah, you have some of the band's most well-known work on here, like, of course, Semi-Charmed Life, which I think is still catchy and great to this day. You also have Jumper, which is another bigger song for them. Same with How's It Going to Be. But you move towards some of the more lesser-known songs in here, and you get some really good stuff, like London, which is definitely one of the more catchy songs on here, maybe one of the catchiest songs on the album. I also like I Want You. For the longest time, I Want You was always one of my least favorites, but nowadays it's maybe going to be maybe one of my favorites on the album. I absolutely love that song, especially Stefan's vocals, or Steven's vocals in that song. Motorcycle Drive-By is definitely one of the band's best ballads. Absolutely love that song. Losing a Whole Year. When it comes to the band's singles, that one's definitely one of the more underrated within their singles. I really like that song. And probably one of my favorite Third Eye Blind songs in general. Narcolepsy is also really good. Burning Man's another one of my favorites when it comes to the more deeper cuts on the album. But yeah, all around, really great album. Really good stuff. And I actually had the opportunity to see them live a couple months ago, and yeah, got to see them, and they were definitely great live. And overall, pretty solid set list too. But yeah, those are some bands where their first albums are their best, at least in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts on the bands that I chose here. Let me know if you agree or disagree with some of my picks here. Let me know if you can think of more bands where their first album is their best. But yeah, let me know which albums you like in this video in the comment section below. Let me know if you, again, agree or disagree with some of the choices that I made here and all that good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and a like, subscribe. Have a nice day, and take care.